Isaiah 19:18. In that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan. When we talk about ancient Israel, the highlands of Canaan are where their story begins. Around 1200 BC, after the collapse of the late Bronze Age, Canaan, small, unwalled villages start to appear. And in one of these villages, archaeologists discovered a seemingly insignificant shard of pottery, the Is-Bet-Sarta Ostrakhan. At first glance, it's just a piece of pottery with scratches on it. But these scratches are the earliest known example of a Proto-Canaanite, early Hebrew, Northwest Semitic inscription in the highlands. In other words, this is writing emerging locally in the very villages where early Israelite identity is forming. The text is fragmentary. We can't read full sentences. Scholars debate whether it's an abecedary, a practice exercise for learning the alphabet, or a short administrative note, maybe recording property, livestock, or other daily village matters. Either way, it shows that people in these highland communities were literate, capable of recording information and communicating socially. Why this matters for Israel? Here's the crucial point. The script is Proto-Canaanite, early Northwest Semitic, which is the alphabetic tradition that eventually develops into Hebrew. It's part of the Canaanite writing system, adapted locally in the highlands. It's embedded in the linguistic and cultural continuum that early Israel is emerging from. It's not imported by foreign invaders. This is ancient Israel literacy developing organically. This shard alone demonstrates that early Israelites were indigenous to Canaan, literate, and continuing the Canaanite cultural and linguistic tradition. Why do scholars call this a precursor to Hebrew? The letter shapes and sequences belong to the Northwest Semitic family, the direct ancestor of Hebrew. It comes from the Central Highlands, exactly where early Israelite villages form. The text fits the linguistic environment of Canaan, which evolves into Hebrew. This predates confirmed Hebrew inscriptions like the Khirbet Qeiyafa, Ostraka, by at least a century. Whether for practice or administration, it shows that the tools of literacy were already in place among the people who become Israel. In short, Is-Bet-Sarta is a snapshot of a literate, socially organized, indigenous Canaanite community, a community that will become Israel. Is-Bet-Sarta isn't an isolated case. Other highland sites show the same patterns. Khirbet Qeiyafa, early Iron Age inscriptions with similar language and literacy markers. All of this fits perfectly with the Merneptah stele, which places Israel in Canaan as a people group, not as invaders. Is-Bet-Sarta is one piece of the puzzle. It shows that early Israel had roots, continuity, and literacy growing organically from the Canaanite world. This tiny fragment is more than clay and scratches. It's the earliest whisper of Israelite identity, written by the very people living in the ancient highlands of modern-day Israel, continuing Canaanite traditions, practicing literacy, and forming the social structures that will define a people. Is-Bet-Sarta proves it. Israel did not arrive from outside. Israel emerged from within Canaan, literate, organized, and deeply connected to its cultural roots. Early Israelites spoke the same language, wrote in the same script, and lived within the same cultural linguistic world. Isaiah 19:18 is a cultural memory. In that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan and swear to the Lord of hosts. The verse preserves awareness that the Canaanite linguistic world persisted over centuries, linking Bronze Age city-states to Iron Age highland communities. The verse connects Canaanite language and Israelite religion, showing that language, literacy, and faith developed together organically within Canaan. Isbet Sarta isn't just pottery. Isaiah 19:18 isn't just prophecy. Together, they tell a story. Israel did not appear from outside. Israel emerged from the highlands of Canaan, among villages continuing Bronze Age culture. Israel inherited the language, literacy, and cultural practices of Canaanites. Biblical authors preserved this memory, encoding it in text centuries later. The Bible is full of cultural memory, reframed through story. If you would like me to go even further into the history of ancient Israel, then subscribe and like this video for more Unveiled Bible.